noise if something's back coming in, but we're live. Yay, we're here. Looks almost stable even. What the hell? And get this, Smile Time has got this feature now that I can play with. Now I'm getting that feedback. Where the hell is that always? It was doing really good over at Be Live. But yeah, Smile Time's got this feature where I can share it out by clicking one button to both Twitter and on Facebook.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. We're just going to say we're live now.
Awesome. And this is going to be a fantabulous show because I think it's going to be really valuable to people that have kids that are in school because, yeah, we don't talk about this a lot. And you see it on social media and you see about the kids going back to school. But then when you get in the thick of things, when you start dealing with the stuff that goes on at school and homework and all that stuff, oh man, and everybody has different ways of dealing with things, and it can become a real source of aggravation for kids and parents. And this is going to be good because we'll see how you guys deal with it and share how we deal with it.
Well, I think it's pretty universal all across the board. When we start talking about sending our kids to school, there's so many stressors that are there that are really they're pretty much universal. We all kind of have the same problems that we face each year with whatever it happens to be, whether it be the stress of a new class that they weren't quite prepared for, or they didn't feel they were prepared for, or if it's a stress of maybe new friendships or losing some friendships, with new kids coming in and different, now their whole class structure. I mean, my daughter's class has probably 800 kids in her class. So she's going to be, in a classrooms with a whole different group of people.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's going to create a little bit of stress because now they've got to kind of reestablish their social circle again, almost. I mean, they're going to have that core group, but they're going to be bringing in more people, and that's going to cause some drama. So that's going to cause a whole lot more pressure on them to perform in a way that they think their friends want them to perform.
Exactly. It's so funny, interesting. When you think back when you were in school, like when you look back at it, it's like it's such a tiny little microcosm of society. Like it's just such a tiny, tiny little world. But you think back and you remember when you were in high school and it's like, that was a big world then. So it's so interesting to think back on that. And yes, I agree. I do think kids get way too much homework. We're going to get into that for sure, but would love it. If you're joining us or anytime you join us, please share this out. I think that there might be some things that you could probably pick up and, or the big thing, because sometimes we seem to feel like we're struggling alone with our kids and dealing with school and all the things that go along with it. You might find out that, you aren't alone in the struggles that you go with. And this is good because CJ being a dad, me being a mom, we have kind of different things, but you are very involved with your kids with school and activities and stuff.
I really try to be, especially with what they're going through, because I didn't necessarily take high school very seriously. So I can't.
Neither did I.
I can't imagine what I put my parents through, and my daughters have not even come close to putting me through the stuff that they did. And I think a lot of that has to do with how involved we were early on. It wasn't something where we just dropped our kids off and we didn't really pay attention to them. Now, I'm not saying that my parents didn't get involved in certain aspects of high school. Like, for example, wrestling. My mother literally would drive me to wrestling meets if I wasn't able to make a bus. I remember one incident where I had something going on. I think it was a doctor's appointment, something. And I missed the bus to go to Redwood Falls, Minnesota for a wrestling tournament. Now, Redwood Falls was about a 4-hour drive from where we lived. And she drove me all the way up there. I wrestled. I did well. And I only had, I think it was 2 matches. So she drove me 4 hours for 2 matches. And then when it was all said and done, I wanted to ride home with the team. I didn't want to ride home with mom. So because
That's
of
not
that,
cool.
right. But still, that's the type of things that we do as parents. We understand. We try to understand the social is aspects of our kids' lives. So you make those sacrifices. You kind of put your kids' needs ahead of your own. So she drives back 4 hours by herself, where I'm out, partying on the bus with the team after winning a couple of matches that
Yeah.
really didn't mean anything anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. We do sacrifice that because we want them to have that social life. We want them to, we want them to be happy. But so you did you like school?
I think for me personally, I believe that school was kind of a waste of time. It wasn't the fact that I did or didn't like school. It was more of for me, there were aspects of it that were just extremely too easy. It wasn't very challenging for me. So I didn't care so much for the schoolwork, but the social interaction I was all about. I was very involved with different sports and drama and choir and band. I mean, all those extracurricular things, I was all about that. But for some reason, I just never did focus in on the actual schoolwork. Like I said, it wasn't challenging. So it didn't matter.
Yeah.
That didn't change until I went to college. And then in college, you kind of get a whole different perspective. But yeah, and now my kids, on the other hand, it's just the opposite. They're more focused on their schoolwork and less on the extracurriculars.
Wow.
Even though they're both involved in extracurricular activities, that's not where their focus is at.
Wow. Huh. Well, a lot like you. There was, I thought a lot of it was, a waste of time when I was having to do these things that I had no interest in whatsoever. And, like Western Civ, like I knew I was not going to have a future in Western Civ. And geography, I pretty much knew in grade 12 that my future career was not going to involve topography. Like, I just, it's amazing I even graduated. I skipped out. I was barely there the last 3 months of high school. It's amazing that I even passed and graduated, like by the skin of my teeth, because I was so sick of school. I was so sick of it that I just could not wait to leave. And my parents wanted me to jump into college right away. That first September that came around when it was back to school, I was like, I am not, and you can't make me anymore. Like, I am not jumping. I am so sick of sitting in a classroom, and I don't even know yet what I want to do. But I did take an English class, just one. I think it was a creative writing and English class. And thank God I did, because when I did figure out what I wanted to do was I wanted to go into being a legal assistant. My graduating English grade wasn't high enough because I had skipped out so much. But I got a good grade in when I went to college and took that extra English class. But yeah, I was, my main thing was I got in trouble a lot for talking a lot.
No, not you.
And rolling my eyes. Those were the two things. I got kicked out of French class in grade 12. We had a teacher. I think she was bipolar or something. I don't know, but she was very much French from Europe. She was European French. I took French immersion, so my schooling was in French. And she used to ask us all the time. She was very French, so she used to ask us what certain words were in English.
Hold on a second. What constitutes very French?
Well, she was Parisian French. Sorry, she was Parisian French.
Okay, Parisian very. I got you. Okay, let's go on. Let's continue.
No. and she barely spoke any English. So very French.
That would be like all those people from the United States going over to China to speak to teach Chinese kids how to speak English. They don't speak Chinese, but they're going to teach English.
No, she
how
was
does
teaching
that work?
French. No, she was teaching French. She
Okay,
was
but
our
how
French
does that?
teacher. She was
I
French.
guess I'm trying to figure that out. Where if they can't explain to you in a language that you understand, how are you supposed to understand
Oh,
what it
we
is
had
that you're?
already been taking French ever since grade 7, and this was grade
Oh,
12.
okay,
And I was
got
French. It was French anyway. My dad always spoke French at home, so I already understood it. But she, I guess, was trying to learn English, and she would ask us how to say a certain word in English, and we'd tell her. And she, if she didn't like our answer, she'd freak out on us. So she had a big freak out one day and started calling us a bunch of like savages, basically. But she was saying it in French. And she used to do this all the time. And one day I had enough. I snapped. I stood up in class and I lost my mind on her. And I got kicked out, but I had to apologize before I got let back in. But school was so restrictive. Like, it was so restrictive. There was things I wanted to do. There was, and just, you couldn't, school is really about conforming, fitting in, and memorizing. And if you're not like that, and there's things that you're not interested in, you're going to daze. You're just going to not pay attention. And yeah, there's some kids that it doesn't matter what you teach them, they're going to get straight A's because they're just going to do their best and they're going to study, and that's just their thing. They have to.
that conformity just is ingrained in them, and that just makes sense to them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you hit on a huge spot right there, because there are so many different people in the world, and they're learning new things about how people bring in information. You know, we see this on social media, even how like one group of marketing ad sets will work differently for each individual. Some of them want to know all about the technical aspect of something, where other people want to know how that something is just going to make them feel. They don't care about the technical aspect.
Yeah.
In school, it's the same way. It's when we're teaching our kids, you'll notice if you have two children, they'll pick things up way differently. My oldest daughter, it was extremely difficult for me to explain to her and show her how to hit a softball and play softball. She loved doing it, but it was very difficult for her to pick up the mechanics of it the way I was trying to teach her.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest daughter, when it came to ice skating, teaching her how to do crossovers, left and right crossovers, she picked that up so easily because it wasn't necessarily she wasn't the feel good. She didn't need to feel how those crossovers were going to make her do. Whereas Kara, she really wanted that. She wanted to feel like she was playing ball. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
She wanted the emotional aspect of playing softball. Whereas Cassie in the ice skating, she wanted the technical superiority of being able to perform that maneuver perfectly. So there was two very different style of children, and in learning how to, it was just as difficult for me as a parent learning how to teach them how to do these things as it was for them to be able to find something that they loved about learning that particular thing.
So she is kinesthetic learner. Mm-hmm. She has the feeling of it. Yeah. And that's the problem, is it? But you know what? I have to say, school, well, at least here, I mean, there's thousands of schools, but the school that my son goes to, they're trying to appeal to the different levels. And I know I've had some teachers one was just so exasperated. If I could have given her an award to try to make this subject appealing to my son for him to pay attention, I said, I bow down to you. I know you've done everything you can. He does not care. Does not care. There's nothing that you could do. She tried to appeal to him every which way. And that is an important thing too, because I am not the kind that, I don't demand straight A's. I don't demand straight B's. I don't, think of it, yourself. We always seem to have higher demands and expectations of our kids than we do of ourselves. We don't feel like doing something, we don't do it, and we feel justified in doing it because we're an adult. But we have different expectations when it comes to our kids. Well, they're not like these weird people that feel different. They're humans too. And if they're not interested in something, I know if I'm not interested in something, I'm not going to do well at it. And kids aren't any different. And so I'm not one of those that demands these, but I do demand good grades in the classes that he's good at, because if he doesn't do well, I know he's slacking off because I know he can do better. And I demand, I can't say demand, but I expect good grades in the classes that he is good at and that I know are going to carry him through further in life because he's already doing those things.
See, what I've always seen though with my oldest daughter, she at one time she used to be extremely good in math. And then when she got into high school, that changed. It was like a flip of the switch. Algebra was not her thing. You know, putting a letter in front of a number and making it mean something made no sense to her. And she struggled. And that was the same year they switched over to this new type of math where this new math where they want them to understand why A equals 4. They not just how to get the answer, but why you're getting the answer that you're getting, which is, who really cares? I don't have to know why 2 plus 2 equals 4. I just have to be able to make 2 plus 2 equal 4 so I can do the things that I need to do. So with this new math coming out, it totally confused her.
It's like an oxymoron. New math. Math is math is math.
Right, exactly.
I hate it when they come up with this new English, this new math. I'm like, just that's another thing I hate about school.
You know, they're constantly trying to change how children learn. And it's no secret. Children are way more intelligent at a younger age than we were when we were that same age. And it has nothing to do with your ability to learn or what you're learning. It's the resources that they're available to use now versus the resources that we had. We had the Encyclopedia Britannica. That was our iPad. If it wasn't in there, you didn't know it. You couldn't find it. There was no, I'll just pull out my cell phone that has more computing power than the Apollo 13, spaceship.
That's so true, right? We had like the best freaking encyclopedia set ever when I was a kid.
Oh, I know. And you'd spend hours going through them, just looking at different things, and you'd see a picture and it'd excite you and you'd read through it, but you were still only getting this much information. You weren't getting, you go on to Google now, and if you want to do a report on rhinoceros, you're going to find 3.5 million websites dedicated just to rhinoceros.
Yeah.
It's insane the amount of information that children are exposed to now versus where we were. So yes, they're more intelligent. They've got more resources than we had. But just because they have these resources does not necessarily mean you have to change the way that you've been teaching things for so many years.
I know, with this new that, like, just teach them and try and help them learn in the way that appeals to them the most. But and you'd come home with so many books, so many books, because then you'd have, and if you didn't have an encyclopedia set, then you were going to the school library and you're checking out all these books, and oh my God, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, it's just so much easier now. But yeah, it's crazy now, the new things that they're bringing out. And,
and getting back to expectations, we do set those higher expectations on our children. There's no doubt.
So how does it work at your house? What do you have expectations, or what do you expect, straight A's or what?
I don't expect straight A's, but I expect them to do the best that they have.
But how do you know they're doing their best?
Well, this is how I know when they're doing their best. When my daughter came home with a D in math, she had never had anything less than an A all the way up until that point. Thanks a lot, Stacy. I appreciate you. Yeah, don't look at beaver. That's not good. But I think I remember that story. I think it was Xander or something like that. My nephew Alex, he had to do a report or something like that on beaver, and he Googled beaver, and he got Anyways, I don't think any young boy should be experiencing the beautiful side of Google, I guess. at that early of an age. But anyways, we're getting off topic.
Oh my God, that's funny.
I know that my daughters are doing their best when we're not, when they come home, they know they have that D and they are going out on their own to get the help that they need to bring that up. When they're reaching out to their friends because they do, they have friends. This person might be better in math. This person's better in English. This person's better in history, whatever. If they're reaching out to their friends, trying to get help to get that grade up themselves, then I know that they're doing everything they can. They want to do better. Mm-hmm. But if they're not doing, and that's the nice thing about the school system is I can check online and see at any given time whether or not they have all their assignments in, this, that, and the other, which had that been around when I was that age, maybe I would have had better grades. Then again, maybe not. I was kind of stubborn. But
yeah, we have that too. I can see, and I'll be like, Logan, you're missing 3 assignments. Like, what the hell? Which ones? And I'm like, come and look. Like, okay, well, I just handed that one in today. Okay, so that is very handy. Yeah.
But when they go out and they're looking for help, if they're actively trying, or if they're coming to us and saying, "Hey, Dad, I don't understand this," I can look at it and I can say, "You know what? I don't understand this either. So let's learn it together." Because, and I found that really has worked. I mean, believe it or not, there's stuff that they bring home and it's like, wow, I forgot I even was ever exposed to this. And when you start talking about polyhedrons and things like that, I'm like, oh crap, when did I learn that? Shit, when have I ever used that? Oh my. So we sit down together, we learn it together. And for some reason that seems to really work for them as well.
Yeah. Well, my son was in elementary. I had to Google how to divide. I'm like, when you have the number and then you have like that, right? It goes up. I'm like, I don't fucking know how to do this. Let me Google it. Oh, wow. I had to Google the instructions. That's when he was in elementary school. But I mean, I have not used that. And how much time do you spend on that? No, I have a calculator. Like, I don't know how to do that.
It's funny how we do that. We say that we make that, what's the word that I'm trying to use here? We justify our lack of comprehension and retention for the stuff that we learned by saying, well, I'll never use it. I don't use that in my everyday life, or I don't use that in my job. So we justify the fact that, we don't know it to our children, to the people around us, to everybody, because we don't use it. But at the same time, it's like I tell you, I'm not very good at writing. I for some reason, I just have this inability. I think there's a like a gate in my hand. When I start writing, the gate opens up and all the good words take a right turn, and all the words that kind of run together, they go down through the pen, and there it is. But even saying that, it's not the fact that I can't write something. It's just I don't understand the format. And because I don't understand the format, the proper format, being able to, write a sentence and be able to conjugate all the verbs and this, that, and the other. Sometimes people look at it like, this don't make sense. You need to rewrite that. And I've had that happen to me, and it makes you kind of think, maybe if I would have paid a little bit more attention to Mrs. Moose back in the 9th grade, I wouldn't have so many people telling me that you need to rewrite this.
Okay, well, that English, yeah, you do use it every day. So that, yes.
But do we use it?
Yes, you talk every day, don't you?
But not in the scholastic term. I mean, think about how we learned those things. You had to conjugate, your sentence. You had to pick out your noun, your pronoun, your prepositional phrase, your verb, your adjective. You had all these different parts of your sentence. And then you have to understand the rules of how to put those damn things in the right sequence in order to create a damn sentence. We don't write the way we talk. That's just, it's not going to
happen. No, we don't. But there's times where we do have to do some things. I do think English is very important.
Sure.
But as far as math, there's ways that I can get around that. I can't get around having to write to somebody, but I mean, in the terms of the way I would write wouldn't be strict.
Right.
Right. But
But
I
that
see
goes
your
back
point,
to,
but still, I still do not use algebra, and I still don't do long division. And
but that
math
goes
was
back to the
never my.
stressors. That goes back to the stress that parents have to. I mean, we're just talking about the scholastic aspect. We haven't even touched and scratched the surface on the social aspect. Just the scholastic aspect of the pressures that our children are under. And we feel that stress as parents. We feel that stress because we want them to succeed. We want them to do well. And when they start failing and they start falling behind, it's almost like a reflection on us and the ability to help them succeed again.
Yeah. I just want him to get through it, and I cannot wait till he friggin' gets through it. That's all I want. I'm just pass. Like, just pass. We'll make it together. We'll just get through this.
Hey, we're in this together, kid. Come on, follow me.
I
Get on 6. I'll take you through.
I hate it. I don't like it. And he has always said he doesn't like it. I mean, there's sometimes that he has, and I've always been very careful to say, oh yeah, I agree with you. Like, I've always been careful not to influence that. But when he's like, God, I hate school, it's such a waste of time, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm there with you, buddy. I totally agree there. Like, I feel that I wish they'd focus more on what, once you get into grade 10, you pretty much know sort of a kid's strengths, what their interests are, what they lean towards. I'd like to see more things for them to start creating that career if they want it. More, like, if they don't want to do science, if they don't want to do social studies, if they don't want to, I think by grade 10, you've learned a lot. You know what country you live in. You know what the world looks like. I think you know the basics. You've drawn how many maps and colored how many maps and all of that. I think by grade 10, let's start getting them towards, okay, these are your strengths. Okay, let's point you in that direction. I think there's so much time wasted, and they feel that they need to teach them these things. And I just feel a lot of it is a waste of time, and it's just torture.
Well, definitely. I think they would spend a lot more time concentrating on schoolwork if it led them down the path that they were looking to go down.
Yeah.
For example, if you have someone who wants to be a doctor or maybe something in the science fields, those last 2 years of high school, maybe they should spend a little bit more time in the sciences versus the social study and the histories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas if somebody wants to go on and become an accountant, maybe they stay more on the math side of things. So yeah, I get it. I mean, those last 2 years are very important to set them up. And I am not one of these people that doesn't believe that college is advantageous to children. I definitely wholeheartedly believe that there's still a purpose for college. And those last 2 years can really help set somebody up for a successful career later on going through college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially those doctors and lawyers and, those trades where college is just vitally important. Now, if you're going to be into marketing, you don't need to go to college to be into marketing. I mean, you can learn that a million different ways.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go and Google or YouTube how to be a doctor and repair an appendix. That's not where I'm going to go.
Yeah, no, there's some things you just can't learn that way. Yeah, I'd like to see that a little bit more. I think, there has been some reform in school, but it still frustrates the shit out of me. And I can never, I'm always so excited for school break. And, it's a tough thing, school. It really is a tough, and one thing I find, I don't know, I'd like to know if your girls are like this. I wish they'd start school later in the morning. It's too damn early.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Like, I hate that.
We've had this discussion in our house. I've got one child who says they need to start earlier so they can be done earlier in the afternoon. And I got one that says, no, they should start later. So and I'll just go later in the afternoon. So I've got one on both sides
Oh,
of the
wow.
yeah. Which is funny because the one that wants to start earlier, she wants to start at like 6:30 in the morning so she can be done by 1:30 in the afternoon so she can go and work a part-time job after school and still have the time to be able to accomplish what she needs to do for school.
Wow.
So she's got that focus, that mindset. And the other one, she's like, no, I don't go to bed until 2:00 in the morning. Yeah, and I get it. She's a night owl. She's going to be like me. She's going to be like my wife. She's going to be like a lot of people out there who get their best work is done after the lights go out.
Yeah.
And that's the way she is. I mean, she doesn't do her homework when she gets home. She waits until she's laying in bed, and she does her homework when she's laying in bed.
Yeah.
So it's two different, very different personalities.
Wow. Yeah. See, because, I've read articles, and I'm sure you've seen them too, about how a teen develops and how a teen needs more sleep. And it really is, have so many friends with teens that they all struggle trying to get their teen up, and it's a struggle for them. I mean, and everybody's different, of course, but there is a large majority because of the way teens are. And so I go through that hard to get my son up.
I stopped getting my children up when they were in 9th grade. Actually, I would say probably about 7th or 8th grade. We stopped getting my kids up. It was their responsibility. We start putting that.
You wouldn't go to school. Wouldn't go to school if I didn't get them.
Well, then they have repercussions for that. So we really started looking at that aspect of it, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's one of the things I wrote down. When it comes to your children, especially in high school, you have to start laying those responsibilities on them, and when they don't follow through, they have to have severe enough consequences to where they're going to understand the gravity of what's going to happen after school. Because you've only got a short period of time. And think about it. Your son's 11th grade right now, or 10th grade, or 11th?
Going into 11.
So going into 11. He's got 2 years before he's looked at as an adult, and he is going to be expected to act as an adult.
Yeah.
When he has that job. Oh, I'm sorry, my mom didn't wake me up is not a very good excuse.
I think that I think part of it is that it's school, because there's other things that he's had to get up early for. He sets his alarm, bang, he's up way before his alarm. He's ready to go. He's got his shit together. He's ready to go. It's the whole thought of school, and I totally agree.
Now, Cassidy, she is the exact same way. Oh, wow. That girl, if she had to wake up in the morning, it doesn't matter what it's, and she's actually the one that loves going to school. She loves the social aspect of being in school like I did.
Yeah.
So if you gave her a choice, she would rather be in school than to be at home. But you tell her that it's her responsibility to get up and go to work, go to school on her own. She is going to be the last person out of the bed. She is not probably going to take a shower because she waited too long. She'll throw her hair up in a messy bun and wear pajamas to school.
That's so funny, how kids are.
Kara, on the other hand, if she's got to be at school at 8, she is up at 6:00 in the morning. She's in the shower. She's doing her hair. She's getting ready for the day. She is that person. I mean, that's her.
Yeah.
I have no idea who she takes after because that is not me. That is not my wife. But I'm that person where I'll wait to, it takes me 5 minutes to get to work. It takes me 2 minutes to take a shower.
Yeah. How close can I cut it?
Yeah. Exactly. I have to be up at 7:54.5. Okay.
Yeah. 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 If it's something he likes, he'll definitely, the effort is there. I know when it's something that he likes, he is particular. He's anal. He's all there. So, and if he's not interested in it, it's half-assed. And, but it's amazing. Like when my son started high school, I'm so glad they didn't do this when I was in high school. Like if they mark you away, if you're late for a class, or if you walk in late, which my son is almost late every day, but if you're late, they send you get an automated phone call saying that your kid was not in school today because he happened to miss it. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm so glad they didn't have that when I was in school. Like, holy crap, like you can't even skip out now. Like
Oh, I
that
know.
was part of like high school culture. You skipped out. Could you get away with it? Like now you can't. And then I get your son, a person in your household named, and they say his name, was away. Please send a note to school. I'm like, F you. I've never sent a note to school ever. Like maybe I didn't want to send him to school. That's my business. I'm not writing you a note.
Yeah, and that's
I'm like as rebellious as it takes me right back to high school. I'm not writing a note. Like you didn't go to school, none of your business.
Yeah, well, our kids, if we don't call the school and tell them, hey, they're not going to be in school today, it's unexcused. It doesn't matter if you call after or whatever. You have to call before school. And I don't know how many times I've been on my way to work because I know the girls aren't going to school for doctor's appointments or whatever it is. I just forgot, I didn't call them. And next thing you know, Corinne's calling me up on the phone saying, hey, why didn't you call the school? The girls didn't go to school. Why didn't you call? I'm like, I forgot. You usually do that.
Yeah. Why didn't you call?
Right. But, and that's the other thing, parents, we always stress about is like, who's responsible for what? Because parents, we're not on the same pages either. We got to figure out who the hell's responsible.
So here's the tip.
This, I'm doing that, blah, blah, blah.
This is what you do. If I know my son ain't going to school the next day if he's sick, I call the night before and leave a message so I can sleep in. I'm not getting up early just to make a phone call. Call the night before and leave a message. There you go. There's my tip.
Well, that's a good tip. And, but the problem is we don't necessarily know. Okay, so here's what we did.
Okay, sometimes you don't know, but if you do know,
right,
sometimes you get up and it's...
That's a really great tip. One of the things that we do with our kids, and I know a lot of parents do this, and we create school contracts. Not saying that, not a contract that's going to hold them to a standard that they can't make. If it's unreal, they're like, well, I'm going to have straight A's the first semester or this, that, and the other. We don't want them to set themselves up for failure like that. So what we do is we do another type of contract. We say attendance wise, for example, they commit to doing to maintaining a certain level of attendance, but we always build into it where they have just skip days. If they decide, you know what, I don't want to go to school today. All right, fine. That's your skip day.
Do you have that? Awesome. Oh, I'm so happy you say that. Because I think, we promote self-care days as adults. I think kids should have them too. They have pressures too. I mean, it's all relative. Okay, good.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think that because we've done that since they were little, I think that's one of the things that the kids have really kind of grasped onto. And it's almost, I don't want to say it's a reward because it's not there to be a reward, but it's there to let them understand that, hey, look, there's those days where instead of lying to me and say, I just don't feel well, if you just say, hey, look, I don't want to go to school today, it's so much easier as a parent to just say, you know what, then don't go. Yeah. If you don't want it, you don't feel it, just don't.
Yeah.
But but they're still expected to maintain what they would have done the day that they missed.
Yeah. I was so good at faking illness to not go to school.
Oh, yeah.
I was so good at that.
I thought I was good. And at one point, I think my parents just kind of like, they'd seen it all, just like, yeah.
You did it too much then.
Oh, I did. In fact, I did it to the point where it was so worn out. And so I just decided, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to go to school and I'm going to start skipping out at lunchtime. And then eventually it got to be, well, screw it. I just, skip out at Christmas break and forgot to go back.
Yeah. Oh God, I hated school.
But it happens. So that's
you guys are awesome. You're like super parents.
I wouldn't call us super parents. I would call us I don't know exactly what I would call us. I'd call us more like parents of convenience.
I don't know. I kind of fly by the seat of my pants.
It's convenient not to have to take the kids to school in the morning.
And I have taken advantage of those convenient times. No, you don't need to go to school today. I love snow days. Like,
oh gosh, that's bad when a parent looks forward to snow days more than the kids do, isn't it?
oh yeah, the night before I'm like, oh God, please just snow, because I don't want to get up.
The problem,
Make lunches and oh my God, it's just I don't like it because I'm a night owl and my son's a night owl. So we both, both of us, it's like 3 a.m. I'm like, Logan, like we gotta go to bed. But he's like started some big project and I've got like my office ripped apart. And so that's tough. When you're a night owl, that's tough. And when you want to focus on different things, it's tough. So I feel the pain of that because him and I are very much alike that way. But yeah, it's tough. And homework is just so much homework. I see what people have to go through sometimes with homework. And like you were talking about before, if you don't really understand what they're doing, and it's been 30 years since you've learned this stuff, it's stressful.
It is. And the social anxiety from high school. I'm sure you deal with that with your son. I know.
No, actually, no. That's the only thing I don't deal.
Maybe that's just a daughter thing. Maybe because I've got daughters. And most of the social anxiety you would think would be because of boyfriends, but it's not. I was
other girls.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, what are you talking about? I thought my daughter came home from school last year and she was talking about this bully and blah, blah, blah. And okay, so here's the thing, folks. I don't believe in bullying. I believe in children should be allowed to stand up for themselves. So the teachers out there that watch this kind of stuff, if you're that person that'd be like, oh, the poor boy, you're being bullied. You know what? Let the kid stand up. Let a kid get a black eye. Let a kid take a shot to the nose. I guarantee you they will end up a whole lot better for that in the long run. But anyways, that was my little soapbox there for a second.
Okay, no, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you on that. If some kid's going to taunt and then some kid's finally had enough and going to defend himself, let the kid friggin' that zero tolerance bullshit. Yeah. That's just the politically correct stuff that they've put in schools. I understand it in terms of bullying, but excuse me, if a kid's going to stand up for himself, let him stand up for himself.
There's levels of bullying. I mean, there's literally there's that level of bullying where if a child is allowed to stand up for themselves early on, when it starts, stop.
Yeah,
but because of this zero tolerance part, this whole thing where just tell on somebody or just tell the teacher or do this. Because of that, what we've done is we've actually developed a system of bullying where it is stepped up. Okay, you went and told the teacher. Now it's not just me bullying you. Now it's me and everybody else that's in my clique. We're going to be picking on you because now you're the social outcast because you told on us. And then it's going to go from there to the next level. So what we've done by creating this, by this whole bully thing, we've created the system that we're trying to prevent. Is really.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. You have to let the people that are bugging you know quickly and firmly from the beginning, you're not going to take it. When I was in school, I'll tell you a story. When I was in school, these 3 girls came up to me, 3, and both of them in line walking towards me, saying shit to me. The one in the middle pokes me in the chest. Kind of keeps pushing me. And of course, you're kind of freaked out. Here's 3 big girls. I'm not a big person. And she pushed me one last time. And because I kept walking backwards, I tripped over a giant boulder that happened to be there as a decoration. Fell over backwards. That made me lose my mind. I stood up and like roared. These 3 girls ran. Never got trouble. Never had trouble again.
That's exactly what you need, though. All you have to do is you need to talk to your kids. You need to talk to them. You need to tell them that it's okay to
defend yourself.
It's okay to defend yourself. It's okay to fight back. I'm not saying, take guns and knives and chains and whips. I mean, this is not, West Side Story by any means, but at the same time, you have to have that conversation with your children, whether you start it now or you started it back when they're kids. You need to have that conversation where you sit down and you explain to them that you don't want them to start the fight. They are not the bully. You don't want your children to be the bully, but you don't want them to back down either. You know that.
Yeah, and I mean, and try and talk to them. I mean, that like try and, either ignore or, something like I would never say like right away smash them in the face, but
Yeah.
I mean, try and do some other things first. But if it's relentless and they keep coming at you, and if they are, push you or hit you or whatever, then that's different. I remember one girl in school too. She kept bugging me all the time and bugging me and teasing me and tormenting me. And I said something back to her that I knew would piss her off, just to do it because I had had enough. I told her something really bad about her grandma or something. I said something nasty. So that got her really mad, of course. But I had had enough from her. As soon as I stepped out of the door of the school, she frickin' jumped on me. And so we got into a fight, the one time physical fight. And I had her by the hair, bent over backwards over that school railing. And I wasn't going to friggin' let her push me around anymore. And the teachers ended up coming out, but that was it. Like, we didn't get suspended. We didn't get like nothing. But she knew, like, it was like, we agree to not be in each other's world. And there was no more trouble after that. Like, you have to,
Yeah. So with bullying being just one aspect of the social stressors that we face as parents and as kids in high school, I want you in the chat right now. There's a few people there and I see this. And if you're watching this on replay, I want you to write down also. I want you to do this also. If you were a victim of bullying at any time in high school, do you think that there is a way that you possibly could have maybe changed that experience by standing up for yourself? And if not, why do you feel that way? And if so, tell me what happened. I mean, I want to know because I want to be able to talk about this maybe on a future show, because I think this is an important topic. But, moving along, there's other stressors, social stressors as well. One I can think of is, being exposed to alcohol and drugs. Every year, in high school, it's usually around that 10th, 11th grade year where kids are starting to be exposed to those even more aggressively, I would say.
Well, I think it's earlier now. I think we're looking like grade 7, grade 8.
Yeah, and I've seen it as early as even grade 5. We've had children here in our school system who have been arrested and taken to juvenile detention centers for having marijuana and drugs in the school.
Whoa!
As early as grade 5. So it's there. They are getting exposed to it younger, but you're seeing more use, more consistent use, I would say, about that grade 10, 11. Especially with alcohol, because that is when, you're starting to let your kids go out and do more partying with their friends. When I say partying, I'm not saying, oh yeah, we're going to a party, woo, because your kids use that word party. Red flags go up because we were there. We went partying. We know what they're about. But they go in there hanging out with friends. Alcohol becomes involved more prevalently. And and we see a lot more happening. So I think that worries a lot of parents. I know it worried me a lot.
Yeah, it did me too, but I've not had any issues with my son, and he's just that is so not his focus. And so our neighbors, when they're out there smoking pot in the backyard, it wafts over and it comes into my office. And he smells it. And I mean, I've told him, he knows what it is. And we'll be outside doing something in the backyard and he'll go, oh, the air freshener's out. Like, he just thinks that that stuff is ridiculous. He thinks that anything that is mind altering is ridiculous. So, and I've lost my co-host. He's disappeared, but I'm going to talking. And there, you're back. Oh, no. So yeah, so I've had conversations with my son about drugs and alcohol, and he thinks it's ridiculous that people would want to do anything that would alter their my son is, for lack of a better word, he's like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. He that is him. Like, he's into science and math and building, and that kid started taking shit apart. Tormented me from the time he was 2. I mean, you take him for a walk as a 2, 3-year-old, and the kid's looking under the bench telling me there's a screw missing from the bench. I mean, that is really what, he'd notice burnt out light bulbs and, at the store. Like, that's his thing. And so he spends hours, like, he just bought himself a 3D printer. Yeah, he saved up the money and he's done some like landscaping jobs with our neighbor who has a landscaping company. He saved up his money, wanted a 3D printer. He's been talking about him ever since it came out. Finally got one, got it last week. Took him all day and all night till like 2 a.m. to put it together. That kid can be focused like you've never seen. So that's to him what's important. All that other stuff is ridiculous to him. Like, so I'm like, okay, I don't think that'll, but you never know. You never know. But oh, exactly. Yeah, no, he's good in math, and he's very much into science, and you should see the shit he designs. And he makes me worried. There's times where he's mixed stuff. He's made like rocket launchers, and I'm like, are you like, is that safe? I see things mixed together. Are you gonna, is the house gonna blow up? Like, what is in that? Or sometimes, yeah, I have this odd smell, and I'm like, I run to the garage. What are you doing? I smell something. Like, what is going on? Like, it just freaks me out. So I don't think I have to worry. The social thing isn't as important as the plans he has for the things he wants to do in life. So I'm kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah. Really? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, frig. I said so much more to say. Yeah. What do you do? What do you do at those times? And yeah, like, how do you handle it? And how do you get through it? Because they don't go through it alone. There's high school years. They don't go through it alone. Hmm. That's a very good point. Yeah, they have to make those decisions. They have to look at that. It's if there's things that are late or missing assignments and things like that. I will make a point of talking about it, but I'm not going to nag him to death. And if it affects a grade, if it affects something, then that's the consequence that you lived with. And, that's the decision that you made. You have to, they have to see the consequences of their actions. And when it gets down to it and they see, ooh, pride, I know for my son, pride is a thing. So when he doesn't like, oh, look, I didn't do quite too good on that. So yeah, you have to kind of let them lead a little bit, especially when they're in high school. They got to start making these decisions sometimes. So let them make these decisions and let them deal with the consequences of that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think we should walk with a cap and gown across that frickin' stage with our kids because frickin' hell, I think we earned it too. So, oh, and he disappeared again. It's a night for some tech difficulties, but yeah, you know what? We all do the best that we can, and there's some days where maybe I'm not the best with my son in school, and sometimes I'm like, I just sometimes you need that day. Oh, now you're back again. Wow. Oh, so I look like a crazy person talking to myself. Oh my God, that's great. Well, that's okay. I was a little bit loopy today with everything that happened. Like freaking hormones driving me crazy, and find out someone dinged my car and then go get gas and they upped it 6 cents on me. It's been a hell of a day. So why not talk to myself? Oh, friggin' hell. Well, we got the audio. We're still good. Yes. So we have everything. We're going to have the audio posted of this show, and hopefully the video as well. And we have everything everywhere you can find us on our website at www.gritandgracetv.com. And we have the links to our iTunes, our Stitcher, TuneIn. We are played on milehighradio.com. Go and check them out. You can download the apps. They are an internet-based radio station. They play 24/7 shows, music. Check them out. I think Floydian Slip might be on right now, actually, about Pink Floyd. But check out all that information on our website. We would love, love, love it if you'd leave us a review, either on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Grit and Grace TV. And you can also leave a review on our website, gritandgracetv.com. If you have a comment, a question, anything that you would like to suggest or ask, you can do that on our website. You can just click on the comment or question tab. It is all anonymous, and we do answer questions. And we're out of time tonight to answer a question. We do have one that we need to answer still, and we've had some great times answering those questions too. So if you do have a comment or question and you would like it to be anonymous, you can do that. Also check out our show resources tab, because we also download great resources all the time. But I think Chris was supposed to have one and he did not send that to me. But check that tab, and we always download new resources all the time that relate to certain shows that we've done, and we have some great PDFs for you. So yeah, and thank you for joining, and share this out, because we want to. And now we're switched, and now you're on the right side of me. You're just playing with me tonight.
I can go anywhere I like. But hey, I'm back. That's a good thing, right? Kind of. Well.
Oh, thanks, Stacy.
Yeah, my sister is all on your side, but whatever. I got some backup somewhere out there.
Someone loves you. I love you. So.
But again, everybody, thank you very much. Sorry you didn't hear anything that I said. So that means you will have to go get the audio. Maybe we did that on purpose. Who knows? You'll never know.
Maybe there's secret messages involved that you can't hear, but he's left them. But you'll hear them when you listen to the audio. Sort of like playing the records backwards. You remember when you were a teenager?
I don't work for Ozzy and Kiss. I mean, I don't.
I think the Beatles too.
Oh, maybe the Beatles. I think I did.
I think Hey Jude had some weird ass secret message when you played that backwards.
Maybe. But anyways, folks, thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, you don't have to be perfect to be that perfect solution.
Peace. Stay wild.